Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. Today, the rights of religious believers in the workplace. That's the issue in a major case before the Supreme Court today. The High Court hearing the case of this mailman who was told he had to work on Sundays, but he had always observed the Sabbath.
I said, I feel like you're backing me into a corner, asking me to choose if I'm going to honor God or am I going to obey you as my authority, and my employer. I said, I mean no disrespect to you as my employer, but I have to choose God.
How the outcome of this legal battle could affect the religious rights of believers on the job. Charges of a secret Chinese police station operating in New York City on behalf of the Chinese government.
Until several months ago, an entire floor of this building hosted an undeclared police station of the Chinese National Police.
We'll look at what they were doing here in the U.S. Despite all of the difficulties in America today, one Christian leader says he believes God is moving in a new generation.
The same demographic deemed as the most non-Christian demographic in American history, and God says, say it again. Yeah, it's the most non-Christian. Say it again. And God says, watch me. Bam.
And from hiking to gardening, we'll tell you about magazines dedicated to making Jesus the center of our hobbies.
Wow. Look at how God totally makes it different.
Those stories and more today on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin with a case at the Supreme Court that raises an important question about work and the right to worship. The justices hear arguments today about a mail carrier who wanted to attend church even though he was told he had to be on the job. Matt Galka sat with the postal worker to discuss his fight to keep Sundays sacred.
Welcome to Lancaster County in rural Pennsylvania, the latest battleground for religious freedom. It's here that Gerald Groff served as a postman starting back in 2012.
In the countryside, as opposed to a city carrier who delivers it in town, and using my own vehicle, driving from the passenger seat with my leg and my left arm across, driving the steering wheel and operating the pedals. And I would just go out and deliver my route.
Groff saw the job as a natural fit because with no mail delivery on Sundays, he could observe Sabbath.
I was raised in a Christian family. There was no question about, working on Sunday. We always refrained from working on the Lord's Day.
Then Sunday service changed. Groff says when the USPS entered into an agreement with Amazon to deliver packages, a collective bargaining agreement had him scheduled for some Sunday shifts. At first, he found ways to work around it.
I did extra work during the week. For example, on a Saturday, we had an auxiliary route, which is like a half of a route, and there would be nobody to cover that often because of a lack of staff. So I would be delivering a full route, an 8-hour shift, and then come back and take the auxiliary route as well. And in that way, I was demonstrating to my coworkers that I was doing my part as well.
Groff eventually transferred to a different location that hadn't yet started delivering on Sundays. That changed in 2017. Unable to always find coworkers to cover his Sunday shifts, Groff got into trouble for not showing up. After years of tension, Groff quit in 2019 and sued the Postal Service. His case has made it all the way to the Supreme Court.
I said, I feel like you're backing me into a corner, asking me to choose if I'm going to honor God or am I going to obey you as my authority, and my employer. I said, I mean no disrespect to you as my employer, but I have to choose God.
What's at stake is how many accommodations employers have to make based on religion. A 1977 SCOTUS decision requires workers be reasonably accommodated for their religious beliefs without undue hardship on the employer. A lower court ruled that Groff's request for Sundays off created a burden for coworkers and his workplace. Randall Wenger helped get his case to the High Court.
I think the message for everyone is our rights rise and fall together. So be out there rooting for Gerald because that's the liberty that we can all enjoy.
Members of Congress, including Senators Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, and James Lankford, are backing Groff with a brief encouraging the court to revisit the definition of undue hardship.
Let's protect the right for an individual to live their faith. If a person is a Muslim and they need to be able to pray 5 times a day and we can adjust around that for them to be able to do that, why wouldn't we do that? If a person is a Christian faith that says they're very strict on the Sabbath and they want to be able to do that, why wouldn't we adjust around that to be able to allow them to be able to live this faith? This is a basic human dignity issue that we shouldn't step on.
Other religious groups are also supporting Groff, as his case could have a far-reaching impact on the future of faith in the workplace.
I really can't change what happened to me. That's in the past. But my motivation would be that if we win, first, we glorify God, and second, that we protect religious freedom so that doesn't happen to somebody else here in America.
Here at the Supreme Court, oral arguments for the case are scheduled to begin April 18th. A decision could be one of the most consequential religious freedom determinations of the past 40 years. Matt Gelka, CBN News.
In other news, 2 men were arrested Monday after the FBI busted what they say was a secret Chinese police station operating in New York City on behalf of the Chinese government. And in a separate case, the Justice Department charged 34 officers in China's Ministry of Public Security with using social media to harass China's critics. CBN's Abigail Robertson has that story.
U.S. authorities say this nondescript building in the heart of New York City's Chinatown held a dark secret.
Until several months ago, an entire floor of this building hosted an undeclared police station of the Chinese National Police.
The Justice Department announced Monday the station was illegally providing Chinese citizens with government services, and that it also had more sinister uses, including spying on a pro-democracy activist based in California.
The Chinese National Police appear to have been using the station to track a U.S. resident on U.S. soil.
Liu Jinwang and Chen Jingping were arrested in New York City Monday, charged with doing China's bidding in secret on U.S. soil, then destroying evidence of their communication with the Chinese National Police when they learned of the FBI's investigation. The two used the office in New York City to go after Chinese dissidents who are pro-democracy.
Liu was enlisted in efforts to cause a purported Chinese fugitive to return to China. That victim received threats of violence against his family in the United States, and MPS officers harassed the victim's family.
The charges also include Chinese involvement in American social media. The Justice Department saying 34 Chinese officers involved in a special task force that worked out of a police facility in Beijing were spreading Chinese government propaganda on thousands of fake social media accounts.
This task force operates as an internet troll farm, creating thousands of fake online personas, which they use in a coordinated plot to harass, disparage, and threaten dissidents.
And China is accused of having a secret operative inside the Zoom company who hacked Zoom sessions. All this comes just weeks after a Chinese spy balloon traversed the United States and gathered intelligence on military sites. The FBI warns China is clearly broadening their espionage efforts on U.S. soil. Abigail Robertson, CBN News, Washington.
Here's a look at some other stories in the news. An 84-year-old white man in Kansas City, Missouri was charged Monday with first-degree assault for shooting a 16-year-old black teenager who mistakenly went to the man's home to pick up his younger brothers. The prosecuting attorney said there was a racial component to the shooting, but nothing in the charging document says the shooting was racially motivated. In Maine, Democratic Governor Janet Mills is calling for state legislators to pass an abortion bill that would remove almost all current restrictions on abortion in the state right up to the moment of birth. Passage of the bill is virtually assured. And Elon Musk tells Fox News' Tucker Carlson that he plans to create an alternative to the popular AI chatbot, ChatGPT. Musk and others have warned that the popular ChatGPT has a liberal bias and that it's being trained to be politically correct. Saving the lives of unborn babies. That's the mission of one Mississippi couple using an RV to bring pregnancy care to expecting mothers. They're helping women in some of the poorest neighborhoods in America. CBN's Brody Carter shares how it seeks to transform the region.
This is a mobile pregnancy center. It's ministering and sharing the gospel with women right here in the Mississippi Delta region. It's also sharing hope and compassion with those who would otherwise be hopeless.
And at a certain point, we heard the Lord just say to us, "You do it."
Guided by faith, Pastor Joseph Parker and his wife Bertie acted on that call and raised nearly $200,000 to purchase an RV for helping pregnant women in the Delta choose life over abortion.
One of the priority goals, of course, is to share the gospel and to do discipleship work. We provide free ultrasounds, free pregnancy tests.
After the Supreme Court ended legalized abortion across America, handing the decision to the states, the procedure became illegal in Mississippi. That includes the use of abortion pills, which is punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Still, those pills are easily accessible by mail or other means.
A goal that we hope to have soon is to be able to be a facility that provides something called abortion pill reversal. Even after women have begun the process of aborting their child chemically, it can be reversed, and actually with great success it often is if caught within the first 24 to 48 hours.
The Parkers and their RV joined ICU Mobile, which supports mobile pregnancy units serving more than 40 cities across 21 states. The organization's data shows 4 out of 5 women who enter an ICU mobile pregnancy unit will choose life. Since 2004, they've reached over 18,000 women who've chosen life after seeing their baby on ultrasound, and over 1,400 women have dedicated their lives to Christ.
The Mississippi Delta has some unique challenges across the board.
Those include being in a state scoring high in the categories of poverty and mortality rates for both birthing mothers and infants.
I really believe that the church brings the answer to all these problems, because really every problem is spiritual in nature first.
The mobile center will begin serving the cities of Greenwood, Greenville, and Starkville, where a main focus will be on the campus of Mississippi State to give female students the chance to think twice before abortion.
So having a pregnancy clinic where a young woman can come and be counseled to let her know this is not the end of the world, there's hope, there are ways where we can help get you through this.
Parker hopes to also connect moms with a local church to help with long-term care after their baby is born.
Abortion is never a good option because 100% of the time it results in the death of a precious child.
Reporting in Greenwood, Mississippi, the Delta region, Brody Carter, CBN News.
Coming up, a Christian leader explains why he's optimistic about the spiritual outlook for the U.S., despite all the difficulties in the country. We're going to hear from Samuel Rodriguez of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference when we come back.
Your news channel, your shows, the stories you care about. Anytime you want, anywhere you want. Download the CBN News app today.
Welcome back to NewsWatch. Despite all of the difficulties facing America and the world today, Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, the president of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, says he believes God is moving in a new generation. Heather Sells brings us that story.
The Asbury revival was no coincidence, says Pastor Sam Rodriguez.
The same demographic deemed as the most non-Christian demographic in American history, and God says, say it again. Yeah, it's the most non-Christian. Say it again. And God says, watch me. Bam.
It began January 2nd with Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin almost dying as millions watched on national television and prayed.
Truly come to you and pray for strength for Damar, for
An
healing
ESPN
for Damar,
anchor praying for him
for Damar.
also on national television. Then came the Asbury revival in February, followed by an outpouring of the Holy Spirit on campuses across the country. The Jesus Revolution movie became the next piece.
Our country is a dark and divided place. But in that tent,
bringing in an unexpected box office take of nearly $52 million and still growing.
So am I optimistic? Absolutely. About the outpouring? Indeed. Are we at the precipice of a new Jesus revolution? Yes. Do I think more people will be saved now in the next 5-10 years of the Lord tarries than ever before? Yes, 100%.
Rodriguez oversees 40,000 Hispanic churches in his association and has served both President Obama and Trump. A sought-after international speaker, he says we're living in a new era, unleashed, he believes, by last year's Supreme Court abortion decision.
It triggered a shift in the atmosphere, spiritually and prophetically speaking.
The new environment also brings heightened tension, says Rodriguez, as spiritual forces do battle.
And we're seeing violence and the Nashville tragedy, but just violence in the streets, violence in different parts of the world.
He's calling on believers to engage the culture, specifically around identity.
This idea that I am God, the idea that I can define myself, be it gender, be it any other checkbox, it's counterintuitive to God's ordained plan. Pastors need to preach about identity, sacred identity.
And he encourages the church to preach the word with love and watch for fresh signs of the Holy Spirit moving.
Wherever you find prayer, repentance, and hunger for God, God will show up.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Still ahead, we'll hear how you can stay physically fit and serve the Lord at the same time, right after this. Whether your favorite hobby is hiking, gardening, traveling, or working out, you can serve God, including leading others to Jesus, while you're doing these fitness activities. On this week's Healthy Living program on the CBN News Channel, medical reporter Lori Johnson spoke with the man who publishes 4 Christian-based lifestyle magazines, beginning with one called Faith and Fitness.
And what we really want the magazine to be is a resource that people can draw on to really discover ways that they can take their passion of fitness and serve God with it.
And how did you come up with this idea to combine fitness and faith? You know, a lot of people are like, well, you know, going to the gym, and that's kind of selfish, and it doesn't seem to fit in with God's plan. And if you go to the gym and you look around, you're like, I don't know. So it's kind of an interesting thing that you decided to do to combine these two things, faith and fitness.
Yeah. And, you know, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of narcissism in the fitness culture if it doesn't have God in there. And so that's why we're so excited to be able to say, let's look at what fitness can look like when it's not just sprinkled in, but when Christ is at the center of our fitness lifestyle. Back in 2003, we have to go back a long ways to really talk about how it all got started. I read a post on what was then a fledgling crosswalk.com. A gentleman said, hey, does anybody know if there's a Christian fitness magazine out there? I like the muscle and fitness, the men's health, all these things. They've got good science, but quite honestly, I hate to have them on my coffee table because they're soft porn practically.
Yeah.
And so that got my interest. I started doing some research, found that there were a few resources out there that were sort of healthy oriented, but nothing that really celebrated how Christ can really make a difference and make fitness totally transform. So that's what we do with Faith and Fitness magazine and our other lifestyle media group magazines, is to help people see how when faith is at the center of your passions, it's a whole amazing experience, something that really affects the lives of many other people.
Well, how can people get Faith and Fitness magazine?
Sure, and I often get emails, people saying, how do I subscribe? And I say, well, if you're looking at it online, you've got it. Our magazines are all free online. So and there's no password, no subscription. It's all just go to it online. Faithandfitness.net is specifically for Faith and Fitness magazine.
Well, what other ones do you have?
So we have 3 other magazines. One is called MAP, a travel lifestyle magazine. So if you've ever been familiar with some of the travel magazines, go to, you know, a bookstore and flip through those. We have a travel magazine at maplifestyle.com. Then we also have Shout, outdoor lifestyle magazine at shoutlifestyle.com. And then our newest brand is Ripen, a gardening lifestyle magazine at ripenlifestyle.com.
Ooh, I love that idea. So what do all these, are faith at all intertwined in any of these other magazines?
They're hugely at the center of what it's all about. So we tap on these interests that people have. We know there's people that love gardening. They love to get out there in the dirt and see their plants grow. There's other people that just, everything that they do is all about the next trip, their travel. Or somebody, I just did a story not too long ago about a gentleman that loves to climb over in West Virginia. And so we say, let's create a resource that lets people go, ooh, that's me.
Yes.
And then let them go, wow. Look at how God totally makes it different. And that's what's really, I think, you know, the passion that God's put in my heart, but quite honestly, what God's put in the hearts of many people. They want to take their faith, this love that they have for Jesus Christ, and say, how can I make it central to my activity passion?
And you can hear more about faith and fitness tonight on Healthy Living. It's at 8:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel or on the CBN News app. And you can also watch it on YouTube. Coming up, a pizza delivery man unexpectedly becomes a crime fighter. I'm going to show you what happened when we come back. Stay with us.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place, all day, every day. The CBN News Channel. Download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com. CBN News.
Finally today, a story that shows you don't have to have superpowers to fight crime. In Philadelphia, a doorbell camera video showed Tyler Morrell delivering a pizza to a customer when he saw police chasing two people who had gotten out of a stolen car and were trying to get away. Morrell saw the two running away and tripped one of them, and that helped police arrest both of the suspects. Police thanked Morrell for his help, and get this, when all the excitement was over, he still delivered the pizza. Good for him, and that he was safe as well. That's going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.